Okay, this is one of the controlled assignments from this year, and this was done by Lewis James, and it got in the sort of high 80s as a mark. So it's a good example to take a look at. So we typically start off looking at three topics. In this case, we've got floodlight, poetry, and storyteller. So starting off with a mind map, then there's a nice analysis of sort of strengths and weaknesses and the sort of opportunities and threats that the different topics provide. So we're just exploring what the options are within the exam paper and how we might get started. So typically starting off with a bit of observational drawing, in this case a little sketch of a colleague in quite a sort of cartoony, sort of stylistic sort of way, and a view of the classroom or exam room. So he's gone with storytelling, and he's got a nice sort of presentation of that, of these sort of books and images and bits and pieces just on bookshelves. So he's written a fairly detailed brief, and he's looking at designing new book jackets for the James Bond theme in a fairly sort of a traditional style, if you like. So you may or may not have heard of the marble grid, a system for dividing up a page in quite a formal way. So looking at the original designs, which are now obviously into the period when James Bond was first written, so looking quite old and quite interesting from that perspective. So looking at different designs, much more contemporary design, and a nice response, taking these very simple shapes. This is just a paper cut, very accurately cut out, just with a scalpel. Another artist, Joseph Muller, again quite a simple, clean, crisp style, as you can see here, and he's got a very nice response, you know, managing to pick up what the original artist has done, which is the trick, is to show that you understand, not just copy an image, but use techniques, colours, patterns, or whatever it may be, until you've got something that looks convincing. So looking at the original books, Penguin, and looking at, on this page, looking at market and audiences. Now runs into a little section looking at specific techniques, so taking an original image and then saying, okay, I'll have a go at that, just playing with different colours, different presentations, and he runs through a series of these. So looking at that as an illustrative one, this is using collage cutouts, and got a nice little thing where these look like they've been edited in Photoshop into sort of colours like the original, and then just creating little compositions with them. So again, another technique, looking at photography and how photographs can be cut and edited and utilised to create layered effects. So a little bit more digital work on these pages. So there's a really nice range of experimentation. This is a nice thing, showing that you've got out and about and done something. So been to the Tate Modern, looked at the Liechtenstein retrospective, so got a real connection with actually going out and showing an interest in the subject beyond the classroom. Similarly, went to the Cheltenham Design Festival, comes up every year, usually at the time when we're in the exam. Mostly weekends, so it's not a thing we do a trip to, but if you can get there, go and enjoy it. So looking at, because he's doing the James Bond stories, looking at a film synopsis, so he knows what the whole thing is about, so running through Casino Royale and Skyfall, and getting some idea of kind of story. Another exhibition, stories exhibition, how you can convey a story. This was a nice little experiment, using the laser cutter to etch little blocks, etch or cut little blocks to make his own set of prints, so a letterpress set which he made for himself. So looking at another technique, looking at overlays and another response. We've got a really wide range of experiments and responses. So more techniques, more experiments, going back to cutouts, dealing with scale in an interesting way, just cross-linking these different things. Okay, so we've got a nice little sketch here, and he's got some similar ones over there. Again, playing with this idea of scale and putting things slightly out of place. Looking at various different opening sequences of the films, and looking at some of the original imagery, which is always useful. Okay, so we've got some nice collections, starting to explore what he might photograph in connection with these different things. Then we get some really nice little film strips from his own photo shoots. So I think we've got sort of water and ripples, skulls which he's found, hopefully in a science lab. Then he gets into his ideas generation, just sketching out, annotating, lots of annotations supporting why he's doing things, what he's doing, and how it all connects together. So he runs through several pages of sketches, developing these ideas, working out what he wants to do. Then it goes into the digital format, setting up the grid that he looked at earlier, using his images and starting to develop what he's going to put on the mount boards. So he follows this through for the various books that he's designing. And you see the sketch is quite loose and open, and then he sorts it out in detail digitally, and he's got a really good track record of what has evolved, how it's changed, why it's changed. So he's got a series of matching book designs. And he gradually evolves. There's nice little screen dumps showing what he's done and why. And then we've got the final outcome for Casino Royale, the Quantum of Solace and Skyfall. Nice explanation and evaluation of what he's doing, and he gets a detailed evaluation at the end. In terms of presentation boards, he's mounted these nicely. They're a nicely cut bevel mount. So we've got the Skyfall. Nice, really nice quality image, nice editing. And he's put on this sort of design, this overlay of sort of geometric forms as well. Nice, good quality prints, and he's mounted them just above centre. So and they work really well together as a collection. Strong, simple, clear, and they work really well. So we've got the Quantum of Solace. Let's just put those two down. The Quantum of Solace worked from his Ripples photograph. And he's got a collective page which is just explaining a summary of how the whole thing went with the collection of them together. So that's a good example of how you might go about the controlled assignment.